literacy is a term coined by Guy Claxton, and it means, like the other ASCII words, literacy and numeracy, it means the ability to learn. And for his argument is that as teachers of whoever and whatever subject, we all need to be concerned with leaving our learners with the ability to learn as our main job, really, because things change so fast, so we can't possibly tell them about everything they will ever need to know. So what we can do, though, is help them learn how to learn the particular subject. And what connection does that have with feedback? Well, I think giving feedback is too often used these days to just mean assessing, telling somebody your judgment on their work. And I think it needs to be much more, well, not, for me it isn't giving feedback. When you tell somebody, you assess. So when you're talking to somebody or writing to somebody about some of their work, I think we need to think about learnership, and I think we need to think about how we can help them not only learn the particular things that we are focused on or would assess, but how we can help them learn to go on learning, right, whatever it is we're teaching them. Does that make sense? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that was much as I said in my talk. I just thought, hang on, couldn't the machine answer some of those questions at least as well as I can, and give me more space to do the things that I want to be doing in the classroom, which is kind of engaging with people, looking into their eyes, seeing whether they where they are and trying to support them in other ways. So that's kind of what inspired me to try voice technologies out, and awareness that they were working much better and beginning to give coherent answers. So it works very well for kind of project-based and task-based learning, where very often what students will be doing is trying to find out the answers to some particular questions. And if you're helping them to think critically and formulate well-structured questions, voice interaction can be good for that, because they need to formulate the questions carefully to get coherent, short, usable answers. So I don't know, I mean, I think, for example, doing projects about the solar system and stuff, they might want to know, well, which planet is hotter, Jupiter or Mars or something like that, and that doesn't, I think probably now it will answer that well, but initially it didn't, so they were rephrasing the question, so how hot is Jupiter, and talking to each other to figure out what questions might work to get the information that they wanted. And of course the fact that they produce this in English in this case, in speech, and compete with each other to speak English to this device gives a much more meaningful context for speaking English in the monolingual or bilingual classes that I work in. It's the technological challenges involved coping with multilingual input, background noise, people speaking over each other, etc. But they seem to be being ironed out. And some of them are things we can take advantage of. So what is this AI capable of doing? Who's making the decisions about what it's doing? Why are they respecting my privacy? Do I want to live in this kind of world? And then kind of much more philosophical questions like, so if AI can produce photorealistic images of people that don't exist, if it can, how far is it before AI can produce a video that's totally convincing of me doing something that I never did? We really are in a post-truth world. What does this mean? How do we I don't know, but let's start thinking about it, because you're going to be living in that age. So I think those are things that we should be talking to students about.
The screen capture thing was because I was at BET many years ago, and I saw the technology almost in its infancy when it first came out, really. And at the time, I was doing some research into feedback, and it was just kind of strange that I saw that technology and I thought, well, hang on a minute, that technology, which is really originally it was devised for computer training, for recording people, showing people how to use Photoshop or something like that. I thought, well, that technology can be used for feedback, and then kind of started my love affair with screencast technology. I think sometimes when we're introduced to a new technology, perhaps just because we're so involved in getting to learn how to use that type of technology, we kind of forget the pedagogy. But I think a theme of this conference, or of our special day today, is that really the pedagogy is tantamount. It's absolutely the most important thing. It's not the tools themselves, it's the way we use these tools to support teaching and learning and to support the needs of our students, and that's what we've got to think about. So pedagogy for me is absolutely, the most important thing.
Yeah. So we looked at 3 really big questions, didn't we? The first question was around what do we give feedback on, and that's a huge area. Obviously, you can't give students feedback on everything, so you have to make some kind of decision about what it is you give students feedback on. When feedback's given by an algorithm, the data doesn't lie, but still that algorithm is underpinned by some kind of beliefs. So that was the first thing we talked about. And then the second question was what kind of feedback has the best impact on learning? And there's a lot of thinking, a lot of research around that, but what are the implications for that, for digital technology giving feedback? And that echoed stuff that Angi talked about before us, about what feedback really is. And then the third question was around what's the best place for technology in feedback, whether we mean technology facilitating humans giving feedback to each other, or technology delivering the feedback through automation. And then Helen gave a lot of specific examples.
So we looked at lots of different tools which provide opportunities for getting feedback or for giving feedback as well. So we talked about things like online notice boards and how they can be used in a class situation to make learners' output visible, so that then you can ask questions about that and relate it to, sort of like your curriculum or what you've been studying in the last few weeks, and try and improve your sentences to be better, yeah?